It's the 5th day of January 2019. Good afternoon and welcome to the first edition of Standpoint. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. It's a few days into the new year, and after the new year euphoria and the Yuletide is fast dwindling as the commercial activities set to resume in full swing in coming days across many cities of the world. In Nigeria, all eyes are on the general elections, which is just 42 days from now. We're counting down. Many political observers and pundits have tagged the poll to be one of the most fiercely contested elections since the nation returned to democracy in 1999. On the show today, we'll be looking at the preparedness of the various electoral stakeholders within the polity as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has remained on the spotlight in recent weeks. We'll also beam our searchlight on the security concern in some parts of the country in relation to the February 16th presidential election. Joining me to x-ray these issues, I have Honorable Fumini Afuye, that is an aspirant, a candidate to the Ekiti State House of Assembly, candidate representing Ikere Constituency 1 from the All Progressive Congress. You're welcome.
Good morning.
I say happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Ayo.
And I also have a candidate from Delta State, PPA, is a governorship candidate, that's Dr. Odiakbo Obiri. Welcome to Standpoint. He's making his debut.
Thank you for having me.
And I have a friend of the house, that's legal practitioner, Libros Oshoma. Happy New Year, Libros.
My pleasure. Happy New Year, and sorry for this code.
It's no longer news that the electoral umpire, INEC, has been on the front burner of criticism in recent weeks following the appointment of Amina Zakari as the head of its collation center ahead of the general election in February. The opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, has rejected her appointment and demanding a removal, stating that she is related to Mr. President. The flag bearer of the All Progressive Congress at the poll, INEC, in its reaction, referred to the allegation as baseless. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, reiterated that Amina Zakari is not from the same state as Mr. President. The umpire also explained that her role as the head of Coalition Center has nothing to do with the actual collation of votes. Gentlemen, Libros, take me through this. I know Amina Zakari is not new. She was said to have been appointed by, at a point in time, Goodluck Jonathan. From that administration, she rose to become one of the most senior national commissioner in INEC. At a point in time, she was even the acting chairman of INEC. And now, a new appointment. Now, what is this hue and cry about Amina Zakari being in this government, in INEC at this time?
First and foremost, we need to understand it from the position of the way we conduct elections in Nigeria. Elections in Nigeria from 1999 to date had never been, very fair. Apart from the 2015 elections with the introduction of technology and novel ideas, we all know the way we conduct elections here that it's what's so bad at the point some politicians say, you know what, we're not going to go to court any longer, we'll rig the election and they allow opponents to go to court. And so against that backdrop, even appointment of INEC chair, right from 1999 to date, there'd been this clamor for once the president comes from a certain region, the INEC chair should not come from that same region. These are written laws, politically, to ensure that there is balance and stability in the polity. But since the inception of this administration, all of those things that, especially as it relates to INEC, all of those things that were unwritten, that were, the norms had been jettisoned, especially the case of Amina Zakari. At a point, she was, there were even rumors that she would be appointed INEC chair. And the people said, no, it's not possible because she had a relationship with the current president. And it's just like a judge in a matter, you know, and then you raise...
related to Mr. President. I thought Professor Mahmoud said she's from Jigawa State.
Yeah, yeah.
She's not in any way related.
I'm from Edo State, but I have relations in Delta State. We are not from the same states.
Okay.
But we are related, you know. And so the allegation had been that there's a relationship between Amina Zakari's father and the president growing up in the same house. Amina Zakari's, the president's sister marrying Amina Zakari's father, you know, and all of that. And they all grew up in the same house. And so there's that likelihood of bias in favor of Mr. President. And so what's all of these are there? Like we usually...
And she worked under the PDP government that time, and we didn't raise this concern?
Wait, Ayo. All of these allegations before, they are in the fore now because you have her, according to the story, her relation is the president. Even while she was, if you remember under Jega, there were allegations also that she was working for the opposition. In the 2011 election, not the 2015, 2011 election, she had issues with, you know, the management of INEC that led to her redeployment at some point.
From
also.
operations.
Yes, from reliable sources, that she was actually working, you know, for the CPC then. You know, so all of these allegations are not unfounded. What usually happens, even in court, when the allegations like this, it is not enough for somebody to sit down and say, look, oh, they are baseless. Like a judge, when you allege, no, I'm coming, let me just nail it here. If you allege bias against a judge, you know, some allegations can be frivolous.
Yes.
But you don't just wave them aside. In some cases, once they are established, the best thing to do in most cases, the judge would recluse himself and allow, you know, the admin judge to reassign the matter. Even on flimsy allegations. You remember Justice Christopher, when he said, when he accused, you know, an accused person in court that I will not allow a thief to sit down in my court. And the defense counsel did say, look, you have made up your mind in this matter already. And so for that, I would want you to excuse yourself.
All right,
and that's
Doctor,
the highest level of dignity.
Doctor, you are a governorship candidate from Delta State, the PPA. Remind me, PPA... Progressive People's Alliance. Sorry about that. Progressive People's Alliance. Now, when you want to look at the umpire, the setting, the configuration, and the strategic position that this woman might be playing in this election, will you say you are comfortable as a candidate?
Well, I want to say that we, as a people and as a nation, we are used to a traditional way of doing things. That, okay, if things are not going this way or your way, then it is fraud or there's a threat. But we have institutions that need to be given the opportunity to do their job. One problem we have in this country is that our institutions are not strong enough because they are not given the opportunity to do the job the way the job should be done. And the issue of Amina Zakari and all that, we are still looking at it from the other point of weakness that, okay, if she becomes if she operates at that position which they have nominated her, then the results will go in favor of people that she's close to or related to and all that. But unfortunately, we have not taken time to say, okay, to look at the areas where the INEC as a body, where she will be operating. We are not looking at it that INEC have a responsibility to do the right thing, not the person that is sitting there. But being that is a tradition in this country, settlements will set in. And that's the area the opposition parties are coming in from. But I think that she's not just the only person in the whole of INEC. And she doesn't have that autonomous power to change the narratives as it relates to the outcome of the elections. So I believe that even as threatened as we are as opposition parties, but we'll also look at it the other way around and see that she can actually function well if she decides to do the right thing, because this administration said, let the change begins with you. So, so I think the change should begin with Amina Zakari.
Okay. Ms. Safuye, when you want to look at this unfolding scenario, somebody was arguing yesterday and the person said, after all, Justice Mrs. Odili, she's a justice in the Supreme Court. And overall, you cannot actually point out a case which is one of the judges that has adjudicated upon, and you can see a case close to, adjudge the case has been biased because of the presence of the wife of a politician, a PDP stalwart.
Thank you, Ayo. I'm surprised at my friend, Liborius, that because Zakari, Amina Zakari is from Jigawa, and she automatically becomes the relative of the president. We're speaking to facts here. There is no election that has been conducted under President Buhari that has been rigged or compromised. Yes, the facts are there. His party has lost various elections, and all these people were there. So it's not as if Amina Zakari is the only person, the only personality that is going to work in INEC. In any case, we look at the trajectory of elections in Nigeria. Some of us have been on ground. I've been contesting elections in 2003. I've never seen the level of haste committed by the umpire in 2003, 2003 and 2007 under the government that was not headed by President Buhari. In 2003, it was using the machine of the security forces, all the apparatus of coercion, to ride roughshod over the Nigerian people. In 2011, when we were conducting election in Ekiti State, some of us were beaten blue and black. Indeed, some of us were arrested and detained. Was it President Buhari that did that? Under Moriziwu. That was the worst electoral umpire we ever had in this country. But compare that to what we're having today. The president who we knew in 1983 as a no-nonsense president, as a military man, is now a born-again person. He's trying to, he's now trying to create institutions, that everybody can see. So for people to now say that because Amina Zakari is part of the electoral, institution, it's a storm in the teapot. We are witnesses of all these things, that no election has been compromised under this government. So you take everybody, every one of us knows that.
Libros is
Under Moriziwu, do you know that there were people, politicians, PDP, who were vociferous the way my friend here is telling us that under this government, all the elections that have been conducted have been very transparent with international best standard. Even Moriziwu came out to tell us that his election, he scored himself 80%. And so what do you expect?
He's called himself.
That even
not the people.
party members.
He was picking up awards.
Party members
from African countries.
There are awards and there are awards.
When you criticize Moriziwu, party members were telling us there was a storm in a teacup. that the man had, that the best thing that could have happened to Nigeria were elections were conducted. But today, in retrospect, we know history is very fantastic judge of time. And so I'm not surprised. I have just stated mine. And I have said it that, look, for balance, for fairness and transparency, if I am a judge, I'm a counsel in a matter involving PDP, Rivers State PDP, and Justice Odili, Mary Odili, is on the panel. Do you know if I am a counsel in that matter, I will object to her being on that panel? Not because she's related to Wike, but because her husband is a known PDP politician in Rivers State, and the likelihood that she's going to listen to her husband in favor of his party, it will be there. And so, let's not begin to over-sensationalize or sentimentalize these issues. They are simple. Look at America. As we speak today, America is still investigating their election. What happened? What went wrong? Initially they were deniers. Even the president said, look, these are storm in teacup. But today, the chicken is gradually coming home to roast. And so if we must build strong institutions, like my friend Barry had said, we will need to ensure that our institutions are created to rise above board. You say change starts with me. If at the end of the day today, elections are conducted and the opposition loses the election, the first thing would be, it was Amina Zakari. So why don't you find a way to avoid all of those noise, all of those issues? Because of the way we conduct elections here.
I've had to cover elections in some countries across the world. And, I don't want to go far. Ghana here. Yes. And you discover that even though if they are politicians, if they are accusing each other of misdemeanor or anything, they never talk about the umpire.
Yes.
Because this same umpire, there was a time Afari Gang was there, this same umpire, the opposition had won election, the ruling party had won election, like that. And so it has turned into a kind of institution. At no point in time, but the People's Democratic Party, before the February 16th election, they are saying that they are going to reject the result of this election.
Good. You see, this is what we are trying to make the people understand. When you talk about the issue of Ghana, the institution is strong.
Yeah.
Right?
Very strong.
And you know why the institution is strong? It's because they are given the free hand to do what they are supposed to do. And if it go either ways, their jobs are protected, the board is protected. You can imagine what happened in Delta State January last year, local government elections, right? Now, the governor is the one who appointed the board.
And the state's independent.
Yes, and a board that still have they still have their term running. He dissolved it and appointed a new board that will do his bid. And that was exactly what happened that made PDP win the entire elections, right? Now, if the chairman of Delta State Electoral Commission knows that the governor has no power to terminate his board, he will do the right thing.
Tenure is secured.
Yeah.
He will do the right thing.
It happened in Edo State.
He will do the right thing, and that is making the institution strong. And this is one of the things I will do when I become governor. The institutions will have their strength. We will strengthen our institutions. Just like in Delta right now, Delta State Broadcasting Service cannot take my news, cannot carry the news that I would say anything that has to do with the government.
Just like governors will shut down stadium.
They will
to
not
refuse opposition to
Are
complain.
you getting what I'm saying? Because if they do, they will sack whoever is responsible. But if that's
let me just halt you there. Let me just halt you. Let me speak. Our first caller of today, Bello, is calling us from Kaduna. Okay. Abuja, Thank you for joining us, Bello. Happy New Year, Bello.
Happy New Year, same to you.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, Bello.
Please, the issue of this Amina Zakari, I want to ask some questions.
Okay.
First, is she Nigerian? Second, is she qualified? Is she qualified to hold the appointment? Is she competent enough to hold the appointment? You see? So, and also, this person, she was not appointed by Muhammadu Buhari. She was appointed by President Jonathan. That is it. And even the family relations I heard they are talking about, I think the presidency themselves said they are not connected directly, like niece and uncle, but their extended families married into each other's families. So I think and our constitution, there is no place in the constitution that says, okay, the president's sister or the president's auntie cannot, be appointed into a certain position. What we should look for, I think what we should look for, especially in Nigeria, is that person competent enough to handle that job? I think that's what we should know.
Thank you for your contribution, Bello. Thank you for your contribution, Bello.
Well, what my people are saying, they are talking vacuum in the sense that the laws establishing all this, you should be addressing the laws. Because all these things are not, you cannot just take decisions on your own. No. The law that set up the INEC, what is the modus operandi? If the law says this, that the president has the power to appoint, and this and that, if we want to move away from that, we must change the law totally, so that the Independent Electoral Commission will now be an independent body that is being controlled, or is being the appointment, the administration, and everything. The modus operandi will not be at the behest of the president. So if we are now talking, you are just talking in vacuum by saying that somebody is doing that. The moment he has the power to do that, that is okay. But in the instant case, like the caller said, who appointed Amina Zakari? Who appointed her? Was it President Buhari that did that? Is it because she's now from a particular national stock? Nationality stock, that she doesn't have the right to become anything in the system. So let it be that this woman is qualified. She's not the only person. What we should try and do is the institutional growth of all the structures of government. And we will not be talking about all these
okay, things. Quickly, our time is fast spent. Libros, you want to?
Yes. If you remember, when this party was in opposition, they vociferously supported the Waste Panel report for INEC, that INEC, starting from the chairman and some national commissioners of INEC, should not be appointed by Mr. President. These were innovations and laudable ideas that everybody, bought into. That look, and the purpose, the reasons for all of this was because you're going to conduct elections that, all participants will be part of. And so people that would be appointed should come from a board that will be selected, and then they would be voted for or nominated by the political parties, and then from amongst these persons, Mr. President can now select. So that powers will still not live there. Why was that so? For fairness. Not that, this person, let me finish. Let me finish. I'm going there. Not because, you don't have so many people that are not qualified. Why is it that you are complaining about the Delta State electoral body? Not because the people that were appointed were not qualified, but because there's a likelihood of bias.
They are scared.
Exactly.
They are scared of losing their job.
Exactly.
So they must do the bid.
Amina Zakari, it's not a question of Amina Zakari is not qualified to be on INEC board. No. But there are certain positions. When she was redeployed to monitoring and whatever, did anybody complain? Nobody complained. But the people that were complaining within the party, also, why were they complaining? Those that were complaining that, why was she redeployed to that sector? So let's be fair, and like they say in Rotary, the four-way test
Is it true?
Is it truth? Is it fair? to all concerned. That's the issue. It is not about qualification. You have a lot of people who are qualified, but everybody that is participating in this process, that's why we talk about a level playing field. And that's why you say an independent National Electoral Commission. If you go to Ghana that Ayo mentioned, nobody talks about the umpire.
That's it.
Because when you look at the composition of the umpires, it is not where the president sits down and unilaterally handpick. So for us to take our election to the next level, we need first and foremost all these little issues to address them. And it's not about law always. It's not about law always. There are conventions also.
The president of the chairman of INEC actually set the record straight. Amina Zachary will be in charge of logistics.
That's it.
And Professor Yakubu Mahmoud is in charge.
The chief executive.
Is the chief returning officer, that nobody is going to perform that responsibility. And well, I think let's just keep that matter and see after the presidential election, then we can do our postmortem. Now, with the security concern in some parts of the country, especially in Zamfara State, where Governor Abdulaziz Yari has threatened to relinquish his position if doing so will solve the security challenges in the northwest states. The governor said he has no objection to the declaration of a state of emergency in his domain to restore peace. Is this not like a deja vu of what's transcended in 2015 election, where the election was shifted for some weeks, raising security concern about the then National Security Advisor, Sambo Dansuki? Now, gentlemen, we've had even the governor of Katsina State saying that his state has been taken over by bandits. Now, Abdulaziz Yari is saying that it doesn't even mind to step aside, or they should declare a state of emergency like a sign of hopelessness. And we just have 42 days to the presidential election. What do you read between the lines, Dr. Odiapo Obire?
Well, I think the issue of security is very vital when it comes to nation building. And the threats we're having from that region of the country has been in existence for so long. It's not just starting now. Like you said, from 2015, the election was shifted. We were all here. And was because of this. But at the same time, some people also saw it. The opposition then, which is in power right now, saw it as a ploy of the People's Democratic Party to rig elections.
Or to gain more ground.
Or to gain more ground.
For 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks.
Which it was.
So you can see.
That was what it is.
Yes, so you can see there is no trust. There's no trust. So when you are on the weaker side, you shout more. It's just like a chicken that is moving normally. You don't hear the chicken shouting, but when you get hold of it, it starts shouting. So we need to grow above this. And perpetuating these security hazards and threats all over, it will not help the situation. The governor of a state is the chief executive of the state. First and foremost, what do you have in place that you can present to the federal government as your own contribution to solving the security challenges in your state? Yes, we have challenges that the police, the army, whatever we have in place today is being controlled by the federal. So some governors who has nothing to offer, we rely on that, oh, I am not in control of the police, I am not in control of army, I'm not in control of this, so how do we do this? Forgetting that these same people, it is not the people from Delta State that are fighting in Zamfara. It is people in Zamfara that are fighting in Zamfara. What have you done as a governor within your state? The royal fathers are highly placed.
They claim some of them are foreigners.
No.
Foreign bandits.
I disagree, because that is what I'm saying. If you are a governor and you don't know the number of foreigners that are living in your state. You are not supposed to be there. You are not supposed to. You can't give what you don't have. You're supposed to know the situation, the security situation of your state. At any point in time, you should be able to know. Technologies are everywhere today that can help your situation if you know what to do. Now, you have the royal fathers, which are highly respected. You have the spiritual leaders, both the Muslims and the Christians, which are highly respected. And who respect these people? The same citizens, the same criminals you are referring to today. These are the same people who respect this set of people. What have you done as a governor to, within your environment, to see how you can put heads together with these people and bring up some suggestions to the federal government who has the might of security to handle the situation for you? So it's not just about crying. It's not just about shouting. It's not just about resigning. Resigning is out of the question because in the first place...
No, but if you can't do it, you resign and allow the person that can do it.
No. Listen, when you resign, the essence of him trying to resign is because he is feeling overwhelmed by the situation. Is that not? Now,
admittance of failure.
because you don't know what to do.
And then let the man that knows what to do come and do it.
So how are they going to do that?
If he resigns, the next man steps in, and if
Will that solve the problem?
the next man comes, he can solve the
So
problem.
are we now saying that? Okay.
Let me intervene here. I think I'm one of the proponents of the that the Nigerian security architecture must be addressed. No doubt about that, because you can't be a chief security officer of a state without having the enabling power. Be that as it may.
Your party has been there 3.5 years. They've not addressed that.
Well, that's what it's a constitutional issue. It is not something. It's a constitutional issue, and we must own up to that.
The majority in the National Assembly.
Well, you know what is the wahala going on in the National Assembly, that there are even more, bigger opposition, bigger opposition to the president than any other district. So, but on the issue of whether they want to shift elections or not, I don't think that is coming from APC as a government. It isn't. Maybe it's still part of the points of opposition. Nothing like that. Yes. No, let me make
no official distance to
no
that.
Official, nobody.
We know the way these kites. We know the way they fly these kites.
Well,
when the governor of the whole state, Katsina State,
is a kite. But let's look at previous crisis areas, flashpoints. The whole of Niger Delta was in turmoil, was it not? It was in turmoil. Did the elections not hold there? The whole of the...
Were the elections not rigged?
Excuse me. The whole of the North, not in favor of our party. So you know that.
Party.
Excuse me. The whole of the Northeast had been in complete chaos, also known as the Boko Haram nonsense, challenging the security of Nigeria. Elections held there. So these skirmishes, I would call it skirmishes, compared to the skirmishes going on in Zamfara or wherever, it's just...
Zamfara, Borno is now very hot.
It was hot. It was hot in...
extremely hot right now.
It was hot in 2015. Of course. Very, very hot. It was even hotter because a large portion of Nigeria was taken over. The flags were foisted in our territory. So, and yet elections held. The whole of the Northeast, up to from Borno down to Adamawa and all these areas. Indeed, there was state of emergency. We should not lose sight of all these things. And elections still held. Elections held. So and the bottom line is that even though we need a sort of improvement in our security architecture, the president or the government is doing a lot to assuage, to bring down this tension. One, in the Northeast, with the local government or the portion of Nigeria that had been taken over, are recovered.
Honorable Raffi, allow me to do my job.
Okay.
Let me just take this breather. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Standpoints reaching you live from television Continental. We'll be right back after this breather. Welcome back. It's the first edition of Standpoint for the year 2019, and I have Honorable Fumi Ni Afuye. He's a candidate of the House of Assembly for Ikere Constituency 1 from the All Progressive Congress here with me. And also have the candidates of the Progressive People's Alliance, that is PPA in Delta States, Dr. Odiakwa Obiri, also with me, and a friend of the house, Barrister Libros Oshoma, still in the studio. Now, from the insecurity we're talking about, we now go to this very important thing, but I think it's also intertwined. Some political observers seem to be feeling the hands of Esau and the voice of Jacob around ahead of the election. They have raised concern over why the government have not changed the service chiefs since their tenure is meant to have ended. Gentlemen, the Inspector General of Police had his the tenure, I think, his tenure officially ended day before yesterday, and we've had our service chief, that's Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, and Mr. President actually using his prerogative extended their tenure. But a lot of people are saying because of what is happening in the northeastern part of the country, that all is not well, that there needs to be a change of tactics, that there needs to be a change of guard to face this Boko Haram war. Libros.
First and foremost, let me quickly take a bite of that insecurity and then find a way to interconnect this change of guards. At a point in this country, we will have to, come to the realization that we cannot leave politics for politicians alone. We will need to be involved because gradually now you find out that if you have your PVCs and you have to select from among 20 mumus, your PVC can only fetch you one of the mumus out of the 20, And so, when you hear insecurity, Senator Abacha once said that once insecurity lasts beyond 2-3 days, know that government is involved. And so, in 2015, the rumor started with, there's so much insecurity, the election was going to be postponed. The party members said, no, all of these are from the opposition. And at the end of the day, far away in London, the Chatham House, our national security advisor, without even consulting with INEC, informed the world that he had called the INEC chairman that insecurity. And we know why it was postponed. Forget those insecurity stories. Because PDP at that point needed to gain ground. It was obvious that, they were losing grounds by the day. And so now, after that, at that time, there were arguments back and forth. Some had said, it was caused by the opposition. It got to a point, then president, he would admitted that Boko Haram were in his cabinet. But all of that we have forgotten now. And today, even the party in power used it to campaign vociferously that, look, once they come into office, they will crush Boko Haram. And
6 months.
In 6 months. But as we speak now, we still have serious concern, insecurity everywhere. And I'm not taking it away from some of the governors and some of the politicians also. Look at Benue, for example. The moment the Benue State governor decamped from APC to PDP, the Fulani herdsmen crisis suddenly died down. And nobody is asking, what happened? Is it that I believe strongly that there were some people in the opposition then who is with today who probably would want to make the state ungovernable for him. But they overwhelm our security apparatus. And in the same vein, as elections are approaching, all of a sudden, Boko Haram seems to be gaining upper hands. There's crisis in Zamfara, there's crisis in Katsina, and don't be surprised if even in Niger Delta, where we have enjoyed relative peace, that all of a sudden you see crisis boiling here and there. It means that some people in government, whether at the state level, at the local government level, at the federal, all have hands in this, create this monster, and then use it for whatever means they want to use it for. And so that's why, at some point, we don't just need to sit back and begin to, every 4 years, we go to the poll to vote for these people. At some point, we all need to be involved in the process. And that's the only way we can start security on its head properly, starting from the local government level. As we talk now, nobody's even talking about the local government level. That's where security needs to start from. Yeah. Because you can't be a local government chairman and you know next to nothing about your local government. You see a local government chairman who is from Ethiopia East and he resides in Benin or he resides in Asaba and comes visits his local government. How do you expect a man like that to address the security challenge in such places? And then quickly, just permit me 1 minute, on the issue of security service chiefs. That's why I keep saying, if we leave all of these things to our politicians, at the end of the day, it's going to be what will favor them. The IG, if you look at, take us back history, that memory lane, at every election, nobody would want to change an IG. You saw what led to Tafa's problem was because of election at the end of the day, because some people alleged that money were given to him and it didn't go around. That was what led to his problem. Even in the last election, you saw how people hounded Jonathan. No, extend the tenure of, what do you call it, Yusuf Abubakar and MD Abubakar. And when Suleiman Abba was appointed and the undercurrent that went on, the president wasn't happy and immediately he fired him and brought in Arase. So every president, because of the system and structure that will practice, every president would want an IG that is comfortable with running into an election. And then for the service chiefs, whether we'll sermonize or glamorize, it is the prerogative of the man who sits there to determine whether they are working or they are not working. And so, because also the life of average Nigeria does not mean anything to the politicians. And that's why even if 100
I wanted to say in spite of the number
overwhelming,
of people...
even if 100 dies. In the last administration, Bade, God bless his soul, they were all there to the election, even when there was crisis in his village. He went there, took away his relatives. And you know why Boko Haram was ravaging the community? And they were very comfortable there, only for him to
allow Doctor, what do you make of this security chiefs?
Charlatans.
Well, you see, when you look at the situation and how things are being done in the country, it still boils down to the foundation. It still boils down to the foundation. And I have always advocated that our institutions need to be straightened. You don't need to keep an IG because election is coming. You don't need to keep the service chiefs because the election is coming and you are comfortable with them. We have a problem in this country, and the problem we have needs to be solved with serious attention. Our institutions must be given the privilege to do what they are supposed to do. The president can fire the IG, the president can fire the service chiefs if they don't do his bid. And that is wrong. That is a very wrong foundation. How do you expect them to work, to do the work professionally, when they know that if they do exactly what they are supposed to do, then
there's no job security.
There's no job security. And that is very wrong. We must go against this as a country, as a people. And we must stop this from happening. Our National Assembly, they are not doing what they are supposed to do. Every day, what you see is personal issues, not national issues. They can straighten our institutions if they are not selfish. Only things that favors them flies. The ones that won't favor them will not fly. So when you talk about the chiefs, the security chiefs not being allowed to go when they are due, or because they have a grip. The government have a grip on them.
Okay. Honorable, what's the best way out? a lot of people predicted, they said if Sunday Indero was given extension, if his predecessors in office actually in election they were given extension, that we might see a situation whereby this president IG is given a kind of extension.
There is nothing to show that what the extension of the tenure of the service chiefs is illegal. It is the prerogative, yes. It isn't. It's the prerogative. It's the prerogative of the president so to do. And in any case,
This is a normal thing. Wouldn't that dampen the morale?
Well, at this point, in view of
aspiring officers.
Excuse me. In view of what we have on ground,
They are the only one that can do the job.
it will be remiss of you to start changing the whole structure when you are not performing an illegality. It's so clear. In any case, you mentioned it. Changing, I mean, when Hidero was there, was it not I mean, his time was extended. Nobody, the roof was not brought down. And in any case, that's number one. No, I believe, excuse me, I said something, that I believe that the security architecture of Nigeria must be addressed. But in a situation where you have crises, north, southwest, everywhere, you try and manage the situation. How many months are we talking about? We have just 2 months maximum to end this, I mean, the election. And now you are saying that you change the whole gamut of the architecture of security.
Okay.
As, coming from the background that everywhere is, I mean, the forces of reaction are there.
Just before we reach home stretch, I'd like to take some personal questions. Libros, what do you expect from the electorates? What should they look out for before they vote their leaders, before I start talking about the aspiration of this two of my guests there?
Yeah, very unfortunate that we are where we are. We are saddled with the two major political parties that we should be running away from. That's what we are saddled with. That's the reality.
Choose between the devil and
the deep blue sea. And as it stands, really, even the major opposition, the PDP, seems not to be doing enough. They seem to want to play the APC game the way the APC played it in 2015. And that won't work for them. Because you want to play propaganda with APC and you need to learn it. I'm telling you, seriously.
To learn from Lai Mohammed.
Exactly. At this time in 2015, Lai Mohammed would have issued like 30 statements in a day. And so I try to look for PDP in all of these. It seems they are learning. And so I imagine all of the things that the president is doing, not signing the Electoral Act. If Goodluck Jonathan were the one doing all of this, the APC that were in opposition would have taken them to the cleanup.
Civil society members would have
exactly, but PDP seems to be lost in all of this. Even the Atiku has been unable to sell his idea. Seriously. In Lagos State also, I said it last time, Jimmy Agbaje seems to be complaining about his posters only. But people want to see and hear him. It's nowhere to be found also. And so, that's where for me, the advice to the people, really, if we can break it, but I doubt if we'll be able to do that. Let's begin to look out for what are these people offering
outside
us
the
outside
APC,
the parties,
PDP,
after the name, because they're acronyms.
Individuals.
Let's begin to look out for what is this person offering, what is antecedent, and not because he belonged to a party.
I think the people of Delta, we have a choice after the PDP and APC in Dr. Odiakwa Obere, as in if you are running under PPA, are you sure you are going to be able to match up the structure of Governor Patrick?
Yes.
Match up his popularity, match up the likes of Great Ogburu?
Yes. You see, first of all, the mindset of the people need to be changed.
It has not been changed.
Yes, we will change it. We will change the narratives.
Between now and the election?
Yes, we can change the narrative. Now, the issue is very simple. The people are tired of the ruling party. They are tired of the APC opposition party, even the candidates they have. They are looking for alternative. right? Now, the issue that is paramount right now is for the electorate to listen to the messages and not the messenger. The message is very important.
The messenger is also important.
Yes, the messenger is important. If you don't have, if the messenger does not have good messages, he cannot give it out.
Even if he has
But
good
we are
messages,
used,
it's not a good message.
no, we are used to the tradition of, if it's not PDP, it is APC. If it's not
That's
APC,
what he was complaining
who
about.
is this? Who is this new person? They are used to old faces. A man who run election for the past 20 years, if Ogboru as a candidate of APC, who has run election consecutively,
You know,
right?
almost all the platforms.
If he had a child, as at the first time he was running, that child would have been an adult by now. What are you still doing in the race?
Your presidential candidate,
So-
the two of them, what are they doing in the
Yes,
Power is
understand.
not served a la carte. Doctor, power is not served
That's
a la
why
Yeah, but you have to
join
give the
APC,
people, you have to
Excuse
give
me.
the young people an
Your
opportunity.
constituents,
No.
what do you have for them?
Yes, I have a lot for my people, but let me first of all
To
appreciate.
give the young people the
Excuse me,
opportunity.
your power is not served a la carte. There's nothing. Let me
Honorable
thank
Wazam,
my friend.
He was like
Ibolo.
busy accusing me just now. Now he's thanking me.
For telling us, I mean, for supporting, for letting it be known to the Nigerian people that the PDP is now an alternative.
No, I didn't say they are not an alternative.
Excuse me, let me,
They
you
don't-
said something close
I'm
to
on-
it.
nah,
That
don't
they
misquote
don't
me.
have points to make. That's why you cannot see them come out.
You also
in the-
alluded to the fact that the APC is also...
Yeah, they are not.
Yes, PDP is APC. So
That's the bottom line is that there's nothing to challenge APC in the present dispensation. It's very clear,
There's a
crystal
whole
clear.
lot to-
And to Dr. Obiere, how can you just say somebody they should give younger people chance?
Honorable,
Tell his people something. He's busy telling them. Okay, yeah.
I
Honorable,
would
time
thank
is
you,
up.
Honorable Fumini Yafuye. I think some other time, we'll make it some other time so that you have the opportunity to talk, yes, to... Thank you, Honorable Fumini Yafuye. Thank you, Dr. Odiakwa Obere. Thank you for coming at a very, very short notice. Thank you for saving my ass. And Libros Oshoma, a friend of the house. Thank you. And that's it. On the Standpoint today, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this particular program 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.